I can almost notice when people don't have that gate, um, but have learned to love themselves,
Okay.
or when people don't have that gate and have not yet learned, or when people have it and there's still some learning that they got to do, and really that.
Welcome back to Vibrational Wellness with Turek Baptiste. We have a really good friend of mine on today. We're going to delve into, I guess, what will be considered one of the occultic or esoteric topics, human design. I recently came across human design through him, of course, maybe within like the last 2 years. And it intrigued me because it had an astrological element, of course. And then it intrigued me because it was able to identify a lot of my traits on a very individual level, where like I have sessions, natal chart sessions with people where they will say, based on how I explain their astrological placements, it spoke directly to them. I had that experience with human design. But the guy that we have on today is one of the aficionados. Comparatively, he knows his stuff. Today, this is one of my really solid homies, my mans,
Yes, sir.
Egun Eshin.
Hmm.
Welcome, 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 brother.
Yes, sir.
Um, let's just start off with you telling me a little bit about yourself as it relates to your road to human design.
Okay. So, um, the way that I came to human design, I'm born and raised Pentecostal Christian. My dad is a pastor, even in one organization, an ordained bishop.
Okay.
My mom is a minister, and she gets prophecies and all that kind of stuff. Um, and by the age of 18, I was a licensed minister myself. But I won't go through all the whatever of it, but eventually I came to a point where my born religion didn't really match all of the questions and things that I had in my mind as I was learning and growing mentally and spiritually, and so I ended up leaving the church. Won't go through all that. And in my process of leaving the church, I was just kind of floating, just looking for things that made sense to me, what direction I was going to go in, because I was still very much a believer in God, so to speak, and very spiritual, but um, I wanted to know more. Um, and so I started to briefly look into astrology. I started to briefly look into numerology. And then around that time, I was married then. My ex-wife, she was in this group for women that dealt with like uh, womb health and stuff like that. And they had actually brought in a human design reader or analyst, as they call them. I don't know if he would call himself that, but he was doing readings for the women in the group. And he did one for my ex-wife, and she just was like blown away by it. Like she was crying. She was like, I can't believe he could speak to me, so meticulously. And so I was just like, okay, what is this? Like, so I started to look into it for about a year. And, at that time, this was, I think, 2015, um, 2015, 2016, somewhere around in there. I think it was 2015. And, there wasn't a lot of information about human design out at that time.
Okay.
If there was, you had to kind of go behind the paywall, and it's really kind of still like that. But
And
there's
astrology
definitely
is
more
the same.
information out there now.
Astrology
Yeah, yeah.
and like, you know, if you're a person that's kind of just on that basic novice level, you're only going to come
Hmm.
across basic horoscopes. And if you try to go any
Right,
deeper to really learn, you know, it's behind a paywall. And I feel like
right.
that's kind of unfortunate when it comes down to some of these systems because when you do get behind the wall, like people like ourselves who, you know, have gotten so far behind the wall that we can teach it, uh,
Hmm.
you learn how beneficial it is.
Absolutely.
Like human
Yeah.
design for me was something, astrology was beneficial, yes. And human design has its astrological element. But
Hmm.
just from some of the conversations we've had where you were just describing a gate, I'm like,
Hmm.
damn, that not only speaks to me like specifically, but it speaks to
Hmm.
my specific situation.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about your experience in human design. So after you went to the group and you were able to connect with the guy, apparently you had a
Mhm.
similar experience like, wait a minute, this is speaking to me on a different level. Raise your awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. No, go ahead, go ahead.
let's kind of talk about the effect that you feel like it's had. It's of course had to be
Okay.
positive effect because now you're a teacher and you do human design
Hmm.
sessions. But let's talk about the effect, like the change that actually took place.
Sure. My first teacher, the one who did the reading for my ex-wife, he had a school um, that they were just starting in 2016. And I think I was the first class actually, but he was like a lucid dreamer, out of body experience type guy. Like he had been lucid dreaming and going out of his body since he was like 7 years old.
Okay.
So he was using human design as kind of like his, um, because there's a whole dream chart part of human design that people don't even know about, where they can map your dreams and what type of dreams you have and all these different kind of things. So he was using it in that way. And I'm very much a dreamer. So for me, it helped me to make some sense of my dreams. Um, but once I got and he was doing like during that school, he was doing like a reading. I think it was like a 3 month school, and he was doing a reading like every month, I believe. And then they were doing classes every week. But from the readings he did for me, it really kind of showed me a lot about myself.
Hmm.
I knew that I was a Cancer sun, a Cancer rising, Aries moon in astrology, but when he started to look at the intricacies and the specifics in the gates and all these different things, it really pinpointed a lot for me.
Yeah.
Uh, in
That's the word
terms
I
of
was looking
like,
for. Pinpoint.
yeah, yeah, like because you can be a Cancer, but then in human design within each astrological um, sign there are five different gates, and each gate is its own archetype. So it really kind of like made sense to me as to why I was interested in certain things, whereas another Cancer might not be. Um, or why my energy worked a certain way versus, someone else who was born around the same time or whatever. Um,
And astrology is similar in the Decan theory. It's not really a
right.
theory that I follow with astrology, but with
Hmm.
like the Cancer sign, um, all signs are 30 degrees, so 0 to 29 degrees. And
Hmm.
in each set of 10 degrees is a different decan, but it's the decan
Hmm.
of whatever element that sign is. So if
Hmm.
we're talking about Cancer, the first 10 degrees would be a Cancer, but then the
Hmm.
next 10 degrees would be a Scorpio. So it would be a Cancer that has
Hmm.
scorpionic-like expression. And then on
Hmm.
to Pisces. So it's really interesting, like just seeing the similarities, but then also
Hmm.
seeing the differences that causes human design to pinpoint in certain ways.
The biggest thing for me was learning my aura type, which is a fundamental part of human design. I mean, really, the most important thing that is taught in human design is your aura type, strategy, and authority. And based on your aura type, it kind of not kind of it tells you um, the type of how can I say how to use your energy really because different some people are energy types, some people are not. And finding out that I'm essentially this powerhouse of energy, it kind of in my life helped me to realize like why I could do certain things that other people couldn't do,
Hey.
why my energy worked a certain way and other people it didn't. And not only did it help me to understand myself and how my energy worked, it also helped me to understand others and that, I didn't have to have such high expectations for others just because I could do it didn't mean they could do it type of thing.
So
And
that's what
just,
astrology taught me, right? So
okay,
I
yeah.
grew up with astrological and cosmic influences all throughout my life. But when
Hmm.
I decided to study it, like you said, from that theoretical perspective, it kind of connected the links. And
Hmm.
I was able to see, like, okay, I have this specific type of stellium in this place. So growing up or in my growth and development, I would expect people who were in a certain place in my life to do or be able to recognize certain things.
Hmm.
Because of this specific Virgo stellium, I have a very keen eye to details that may
Hmm.
be above average, right? So
Hmm.
astrology did that for me. So hearing that human design did that for you is really interesting. We've had countless conversations and
Hmm.
readings, my chart to your natal chart, my chart, my chart, and my chart. Let's talk about some significant placements in my chart that will kind of speak to the above average differences. But I want you to start with that specific gate that you have that you realized was the kind of above average, or at least your environment above average trait.
One of the things that I realized about myself through human design was this channel we call the channel of mutation.
Okay.
And each channel is made up of two different gates. And if you see a chart and you see the black and the red stuff going on between the different centers, or what we call centers, but most would call chakras. Um, there's it's essentially like a consistent energy flow, but from one chakra to another kind of thing.
Okay.
But this particular channel is made up of gate 60 and gate 3. Now, the channel of mutation is a channel that is exactly that. It's all about mutation. It's all about um, taking something that's old and outdated and uh, creating something new. But the difference with it is gate 60, which is coming out of the what we call the root center or the root chakra, is what we call the gate of limitation. That gate alone really changed my life
Mm,
because the statement or the keynote that goes with that gate is that um, the acceptance of limitation leads to transcendence. And
say
I'm
that.
like, the acceptance of limitation leads to transcendence.
Mm,
And in my life, I have had all these different blockages where I would feel like, why can't I just get around this particular thing? And I'm always trying to find ways around it and figure out how to, make things work and so on and so forth. And then when I read that about that gate, it really helped me to understand, like, I understood the concept of acceptance. I had read The Power of Now like late in 2016. I talked a lot about acceptance in the now and all of that. But the mutation of that channel comes from the other gate in that channel. So you have the gate 60, which is the limitation, and then you have gate 3, which is the understanding of how you take the limitation and find a way around it.
Mm,
So
mm.
this gate 3 is kind of like you know, I like to call it a issue or a legba gate,
Okay.
but because it really just kind of almost like that divinity at the crossroads when you find your way to the intersection. You're like, okay, which way do I go? How do I get to the other side? And it finds a different path, kind of thing. Um, and so that channel, that those two gates really defined me in a lot of ways because I realized that the mutation was what was causing me to shift my identity so many times in my life because I have gone from being this super Christian, got married as a virgin at 20 years old. I was married for 13 years. Like I'm a super Christian, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I was set in that identity.
Mhm.
But then when things shifted, when I met the limitation of, okay, this is not making sense to me anymore, and I accepted that, then I became somebody totally different. And now everybody's like, oh, what's wrong with him? He's on that new stuff. He tripping. He crazy. And and I became somebody completely different. And that's why my name has changed so many times. I realized in my life, you know, and even from there, I've shifted and changed my identity from being someone who was kind of more of a free agent to then kind of dabbling in the Hebrew Israelite camp and then kind of dabbling in the Kemetic science and then kind of dabbling in this and that. And now, I practice, African tradition, but I don't know if this is what I'm going to be for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So it's,
Got you.
it's, it's given me because these two gates, this channel are in my incarnation cross, which are like the four most important gates of a person's chart. And so to have the channel of mutation in my incarnation cross really like defines a lot about me. And knowing that I'm going to shift, I'm going to change, I'm going to transform, I'm going to mutate, and also understanding that because I have to do that at times, I'm going to lose people because everybody else don't mutate like that. And when I do change, they're kind of like, okay, who is this person? I don't know you. And that's why I've had to, lose friends and gain new friends or lose relationships and gain new relationships and so on and so forth because, people are not ready to I won't say not ready to evolve, but not ready to transform like that as quickly as I do. And
Or in
also
some
understanding that
cases at
this
all. I've
at
learned
all, yeah, that
that
too. Yep.
being a 41-year-old male with the life that I've been afforded to experience. I've come to that realization and it's interesting. Like I just came to that realization maybe within like the last year and a half that
Hmm.
in life, some people, maybe most, will just come and go. And then being able
Yeah.
to understand the patience that comes along with certain relationships or certain interactions until they're making their cycle end. So
Yeah.
that's interesting that that's an awareness that you were able to gain through human design. And that's why I love these systems because again, they take you out of what I consider like just a mundane everyday practice to
Hmm.
a real journey of self-discovery and awareness.
Absolutely.
It's like a 360
Absolutely.
damn mirror that you're encapsulated in.
Hmm.
You're seeing every aspect of yourself, the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. But with systems like these, it also motivates you to, again, transcend. So if
Yeah.
you have these specific traits, then you also have these traits that can complement this other trait to help you grow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That. particular placement changed a lot for me. I mean, learning my profile changed a lot for me. I mean, it's just so much I could dive into. For you, it's been interesting this channel that you have um, that we call the channel of preservation, and it's made up of two gates. There's a gate 50, and then which is what we call the cauldron, and then gate 27 is the gate of caring. And it's this every channel has its own circuit group that it's a part of. And the circuits are kind of like if you look at the human design chart, it's like a motherboard, like all these different channels that are going from different uh, centers to different centers. But this particular channel is part of what we call the tribal defense circuit, and it's essentially like there are two sides to the tribal defense circuit. There's the paternal side, which is how you defend the tribe from a masculine or paternal perspective, which is like going to war, for example, or making more children. Like if the tribe is being killed off, we can always make more. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And you have that channel as well. But then on the other side, there's the maternal aspect to the tribal defense circuit, which is we defend the tribe by teaching our children, nurturing our young to understand what values, what traditions need to be preserved. And that's why it's called the channel of preservation. Like we're going to preserve this aspect of our culture and we're going to let the rest go. We're going to preserve these laws, these values, and the other stuff we're going to let go, kind of thing. And it's just like a mother would teach their children from a young age, like what is most important in the family to uphold, what traditions, that we uphold. And so that channel for you, it really kind of makes you a teacher in a lot of ways, a natural teacher. Um, and then because the 50 is what we call the cauldron is like the root of intelligence, really for our species as a whole. So it's all intelligence comes out of this gate, right? But for the purpose of defending or keeping us alive as a tribe, as a family. The other gate, gate 27, the gate of caring, is a Taurus gate that really allows that intelligence and those laws that come with the gate 50 to be transmitted in a way that the children feel nurtured and nourished by it. So like there are people that have gate 50, they have the laws, they have the morals, they have the values, but they don't have gate 27. So they'll be more like a dictator. Like they're not transmitting the laws and the values with care. It's more so like you're gonna do this, da, 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 that kind of thing. But a person like yourself and a person like me having both of those gates, we transmit it with a certain sense of care, a certain sense of nurturing,
Hmm.
like a mother would.
Okay.
So it's interesting, like watching you share the astrological truths that you know or the spiritual truths that you know from from a place of caring. Like even when you do your lives and stuff that I see, it's not abrasive, it's not dictatorish. It's let me show you something, and people receive it better. And so you are, as well as myself and other people who have this channel, are designed to nourish and nurture people with information,
Hmm.
with great care because of that particular channel.
When it comes down to like any sort of teaching, even as a young child, like from an intuitive perspective, the adults in my family would almost kind of gather around to ask me questions. It was
Mm,
almost like once one specific family member realized that I had an intuitive gift,
hmm
they nurtured it by pulling it out of me.
hmm
And it was so much that I would see as a child that I, of course, didn't understand the symbolism as a kid,
Hmm.
that when I would share, like my mother would say, oh, well, this means this, and this means this, and this means this. And I would be able to share, just like you said, share that information, but in a caring way. Like,
Hmm.
this is what I learned. Let me help you with this. That
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
so much sense. And to see that that's a specific gate in my human design chart just makes human
Mhm.
design so much more interesting.
And it's unconscious too. Um, it's not something that you. It's something that you can become conscious of as people show it to you. But there's a conscious side to human design and there's an unconscious side to human design. So that particular gate, you have it both consciously and unconsciously, but at least the gate of values. But the caring aspect is unconscious for you. It's in your what we call your design moon. So you have your personality moon, which is like your traditional astrological moon sign, and then you have your design moon, which is like, the moon sign of your that you um express through your physical aura, if that makes sense. So it's literally a part of your body's genetic makeup as opposed to your mind. So that caring is shown in your body language. It's shown in what you're driven by genetically.
Mm,
So it's very interesting. Okay, let's look at. So we got 4521, right? These are it's an individual channel, but it's all about making money.
mm,
There's a couple channels like this, but this particular channel is like you have Gate 21, which is the channel of, I mean, sorry, the gate of control, and it's like uh, literally the ability to control resources. Um, and then you have the other side of that channel, which is Gate 45, which is like the landowner. So if 45 is the landowner, but it doesn't have the ability to control the land, 21 is the landlord that the 45 puts in place to control, the assets or the resources. So having both of those is kind of like we call it the money line.
ooh,
So it's being able to have this these resources that can be used economically, as long as you have the ability to control those resources. And it's really kind of like Gate 21. I forget the actual exact keynote for it, but it's essentially like the ability to navigate um, when there is resistance, the ability to overcome resistance. So basically, the ability to when somebody is resisting um, you in a certain way, you have the not just the ability, but the
mm,
right to take control of that resistance or take control of those resources and say, no, this is what we're going to do with it. And so this gate is kind of like a gate when people have this gate to um, where people need to be in control of the way they make money. They
mm,
need to be in control of the way they dress, the way they, move about the world. Like it's not the type of gate of a person that needs to have a typical job. You know what I mean? Like a person that, is able to just really kind of write their own ticket kind of thing. And you have this in your what we call your Earth. I don't know, as far as I understand in astrology, there is no Earth sign.
right.
Um,
There is
but
no
in
energy that especially in traditional Western astrology, there isn't a zodiac energy that connects to the earth. Every other planet except the earth. But just in my
Mhm.
personal theory, I always equate Taurus to the earth in some capacity. Although it's traditionally associated with Venus, I look at Taurus as well as the energy of the earth because it's fixed earth. But no,
Gotcha, gotcha.
theoretically, no, it isn't.
Yeah. So in human design, the Earth, we have an Earth placement, but it's the exact opposite of your sun placement.
So if you enjoyed this content and you'd like to see more of it, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope to see you again.